Welcome to Exit Frag. I'm Zeph. I'm joined by Esports Andy. Today we are going to be doing the VCT EMEA tier list post Masters Bangkok pre-stage 1. Andy, we're going to start here with Apeks. I think that this is literally just Florecent and Friends.
I think now that they had some time to figure out their team, I think they're actually going to do a lot better than people think. But I also, there's such a question mark because it's like, how good can they? Like, we just don't know the team yet because it was so wonky in the kickoff tournament.
Yeah, I think did they have Odorous come in like
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah,
first
and but then
game?
they got
Yeah.
in. But then they got in their the it was like the Turkish player. I don't remember the name. Turkish player. Oh, I can't even say that.
But
Bot should. Yeah.
the one with the B, right? Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
say it. I
yeah.
can't pronounce it
I,
either.
I have to go and watch the game again, but we don't know how good like Turkish players are all like the Turkish tier two scene. They all have shooters, so like I have faith that this player is going to be a solid player, and I have faith that like Avova and Hyper and Mosey are all like solid. Like I do like this team, but I think they're like probably C tier, like low C.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, like much like our Aspas type player, they're really dependent on like Fluorescent being able to pop off. And you know what? I'm super glad that Fluorescent's been able to like cook in VCT EMEA. That being said, I still have them at C just because like my trust for the rest of the team is not as high, and I think that their young Turkish player had a lot of flashes of brilliance from what I saw, but they're not like consistent. And as long as we could get that consistency down, the team will go up on this tier list. But for now, I think C is a good spot for them.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to one of the nicer teams throughout the kickoff tournament, BBL. They're led by Jamppi. Um, I'm pretty excited about this team. The changes that they made were good, and they're building on something that I didn't really like, think that they would have. I thought that they would maybe like bomb out, but the Yampy pick has been super good.
I really like Loom or Loon. Um, they like shocked me. They're my biggest like, hey, everyone pay attention to this EMEA player because he had some really brilliant moments. He has really great game sense. He is their entry player that I think helps Yampi like have so many an extra tool that he didn't really have with like another like I was so shocked by this team. I thought they were going to be really bad this year.
No, I
And
thought they were gonna be bad too.
yeah, because like they if that continues, they could be an A tier team. Um, but I still need to see a little bit more. I'm still like a little bit like hesitant to give them like that, like same treatment as like Foot or something like that. Like,
Yeah, I think they're definitely the top of B tier, but I do think that they have the potential to move up to like top of A tier even. They just they just didn't do so hot when they were in that like high pressure situation to beat some of the top teams in EMEA. So
mm,
I think this is a new team. They're still working things out. Yampy's still figuring out how to IGL at a high level too. So it's just gonna take a little more experience to get this team over the line.
mm-hmm,
I think worst case scenario, they're a champions qualifying team, and in last minute.
mm-hmm.
All right, moving on to Fnatic. Fnatic has been a team that does not look the same as they have in previous years. They don't have Leo. They don't have Derke anymore. I don't want to say it's a mess over there, but it's definitely like the level of consistency has dropped quite a bit.
Kayak has been a very noticeable like downgrade from Durka, and
Yeah.
like that it makes sense. He's like he's a rookie. He's just figuring, or yeah, he is. No, he was on.
I
Oh,
think
he was on
he's
Apeks before.
yeah.
But yeah, so a rookie. He has a lot of room to grow, I think, especially with Boaster, and they made the change from
From Leo to Crashies.
Leo's, but now they have a new head coach.
Oh yes, they do. They sign Doom Bros recently?
No, yeah, as assistant uh, assistant coach, and then Milan is a head coach.
Oh, okay, for sure.
And so that could actually be the thing that revitalizes them. We know who Boaster is. We know that he has good ideas. And then we know who Chronicle, and like there is hope for this team. Do I think that they'll be able to really turn it on like this quickly? No. And I think this season is kind of like a wash because I don't think
Oh,
we'll
I
see
don't
them
think
in international this year. Like I think they're going to miss out.
I think it's gonna be a lot tougher, but I also think that Boaster has a lot of experience leading teams throughout the season and being able to make those adjustments when needed. Like obviously before he had like this pretty close to a just a EMEA super team and they had a region on lock. I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. I think it's going to be a lot tougher and it's going to put a lot of more stress on like the IGL, on the tactics, because I mean Crashies has not been like super consistent. He has not been the same player he was in, VCT Americas. And as much as that pains me to say, it's just obvious when you see them play. Um, that being said, I do think that they're not as bad as some people are making it out to be. I just think that there's just a constant comparison to that team that was really good, and now they're just kind of like middle of the pack. But I do think that there is a lot of room for error in EMEA. And looking at the other teams on this list, I do think that if they can increase their consistency, they can beat some of these teams in EMEA. I mean, obviously they're not going to be able to beat like Vitality or Team Heretics, but still believe that they can beat almost anybody else on this list.
My only concern, and I'm interested to see how they kind of adjusted to what the meta is now, because in the kickoff they had no idea what the meta was.
Mm.
And they also were doing like I'm interested to see who they're going to have on the breach consistently. Are they going to have Crashies or are they going to have Chronicle? Because on Fracturian's BBL they did a breach Sova. Like
Yeah.
so I'm interested to see because Sova really isn't that common anymore. Is Crashies going to have to completely abandon it? What's going to happen?
I think, if it was me, if I was the coach, I'd probably put Crashies on Tejo. He's not that difficult. I mean,
Yeah.
the utility is similar-ish. Like you don't require lineups, which is like maybe a positive thing. But yeah, I just think that they would benefit from putting Crashies on Tejo and then somebody else on the breach.
Mhm. That makes sense.
I have them B. I still think that they're interchangeable with BBL depending on the day.
Yeah. I would probably put BBL above just because I don't know. I
I
like them
think I
better.
think we saw them play a lot better too.
Yeah. And they won,
Yeah.
technically.
All right, we're gonna talk about Foot, which is like, man, I don't really know what to think about this team. Like, yeah, they placed high, but I don't know. It's kind of the same thing that always happens every year, and it becomes kind of frustrating to watch them like, place around the same area over and over.
I was pretty happy with this team. I just think my only fear with them is that they were kind of exposed in their map pool. Like the maps that they're good on. Like they were pretty good on bind. They were good on. Let me see. I have to like. I like this team. I think they're going to be, since they're so consistent. I think they're going to make the next two internationals, and that's why for me I have them at A because I think they're better than BBL, and then definitely better than Fnatic. But the two teams that they lost to are the two teams I think that are better than them, which is Team Vitality and Team Liquid.
It's true. It's true. I see that. Yeah, I think I do have a lot more faith in Foot Esports over like a BBL or Fnatic, just based on that like consistency. So I agree here to put them A tier. I mean, I think like if we're gonna put other teams in A tier, they're probably
Mm,
higher. There are other teams that are higher, but I
mm.
like Foot at A tier, low A. Okay, moving on to Gentlemates. This is uh, not a good team.
Gentlemates is like weird because like they have a couple of players. Like it's so funny that Zyppan's on this team.
Yes, it's hilarious.
And like I said this in my video, I think about like the French teams. That it's gonna be so funny if Zyppan has to like fight through Ascension with this team. like,
Yo,
like at the end of the season, they're gonna have to go. He's gonna have to play with them back in Ascension to try to make it in. Um, but that being said, like they were steamrolled by Fnatic, like and
Fnatic's
uh,
not like one of the greatest teams either.
yeah, and like I liked Mini was good. He was like a really bright star for them. Um, but that's all I can really say. Like that was like a bright point, and then like the rest of the players kind of were figuring it out. It's a new team. Maybe the month like who I forgot. Yeah, like this team just doesn't scream anything. Like they're probably the lowest French team.
Yeah, it's quite sad to see them like not play all that well, especially because of their run in like Ascensions and then like beating Apex. But even though Apex is a mess, I still think that they're like a much better team than them. So for me, they're going on D tier.
Hmm.
All right, let's talk about GiantX. Um, oh man, what I like this team, and I like also don't like them. And I think you were like the biggest proponent for like praising GiantX. So I'll just let you take the lead on this one.
I flipped on this team after watching them
Yeah.
because I thought I was having like a lot of faith in this team. I thought they had a lot of good pieces. I thought they could have been, which they're not. Like they could have been the worst version of Loud, but in EMA. Like they have a lot of pieces I thought could be good
Hmm.
and have like they had like consistent moment. Like I just was had a lot more faith in this team, and they just kind of didn't perform. They didn't have good ideas. They just didn't look like a team that was ready to take the stage right away. And they did beat Karmine Corp, but I would still even have Karmine Corp above them because I would have more faith in that team and Saadhak than GiantX and Cloud figuring it out.
It's true. Yeah, for me, I think they overperformed for me. But also like the bar was like
Yeah.
incredibly low. So like any sort of like win I think was like a win for the org. So maybe I am overpraising them here. I think maybe like I don't know, maybe like bottom of C for me.
Yeah, that's man, yeah, because I had it like where they were probably just barely better than Gentlemates, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah, I think that's probably fine because we have one more team in D tier. Okay, let's move on to Karmine Corp. Ooh, divisive. Is this team going to pick it up in stage 1? I
Yes.
personally don't think so.
Ah, I think they will. I think this is their chance to like with the meta being so like, whoa, there's so many different weird like things. I think that's where like veteran leadership and then really good coaching will take the reign. And then also Sonic will have a has a lot of different like good tools that if he can use them correctly are insane players.
That's true.
like
That's true.
because Marteen struggled, but Marteen's a really good player, and he can play Yoru.
True.
Suyugetsu is an insane clutch player, and we already know he's a Masters winner. Saadhak won the World Championship. Aves is like a really good player. I think he struggled a little bit too, but he had against NAVI, I think he had a pretty good game. And then Elite, it was like the best player from BBL. And I think he struggled a little bit too, just because he was trying to play the Vice, and I think they were trying to still figure that out. So that's why, like, I would have them. What did I have them as? Oh, I had them. Oh yeah, I had them right there.
Oh,
like, yeah, I had them between Fnatic and Apeks.
Yeah, I think this team will find better results in the stage 1, and it's because of the like stacked roster that you pointed out. But I think that having your IGL like not really be all that good like at calming in a different language is going to be tough, and I think that was maybe the main issue throughout their kickoff run. Also, like the amount of players coming from like different systems, coming in different languages is like incredibly high, and I think that's what hurts this team at the end of the day. And it's the difference between Karmine Corp and Team Vitality. They're still talented. I still think they're going to win. If there's 5 matches throughout stage 1, they'll definitely win 3 for sure. So for that, I think I have them B tier as well.
Well, and also one thing I want to say is if Saadhak gets rid of his terrible harbor play and just sticks with like deadlock breach, then I think the team will be so much better. Like, please don't play harbor.
Yeah, the harbor thing is kind of like not so good these days. So I'd have to agree. Okay, let's talk about Koi. I think Koi is probably the worst team in this entire league.
I think they're like just. I've heard like people didn't want to play on Koi because of like Flyuh or something like that, and like yeah, like. And that's not a good thing when you're talking for like your IGL of the team. That also, like, all these players speak English, so it's not even a big deal. But I just don't. I'm not inspired by anything on this team. I think my favorite player is Soulcass.
Yep,
and I like Shados also, but yeah, there's just nothing really to be excited about. There's no real identity that they showed in their 2 matches. Yeah, I'd have them just as last.
I don't understand why Soulcass left Apeks when Apeks had such a good thing going for it.
If they got rid of him, or did they get rid of him?
No,
or did he?
He left for Koi.
He left for Koi. Oh, I hope it was money.
I hope it was money too, because it makes no sense for him to leave otherwise.
Yeah, because that team would be like, I would actually have Apeks higher than if he was on that team. But this team, I just don't think these players really meshed. They didn't show anything.
Yeah, I have to agree. All right, NAVI. Oh my goodness, this team is a mess, but it's like the same energy as Angel. I think Angel's calling is completely wacky, crazy, and this team will upset some teams in EMEA. I'm telling you right now, there's going to be some goofy-ass wins throughout the season.
I could see them either winning against Team Heretics or Team Vitality at the end of Split 1.
Yeah, okay, I see that too.
But I would have them low on the tier list.
No, I do too.
Because then they're going to lose to, like, GiantX. Like, right before that. Yeah. Like...
I think for me they're like top of C just because like they're so like wildly inconsistent. They're either gonna beat a lot of these teams or they're gonna lose a lot of these matches. And with the meta, go ahead.
Oh, because I do like these new players that they added. I think there was a growing pain. That's why they couldn't close out those maps. It was just because Angel's insane, and these players are trying to get used to him.
Yes, I agree.
Because like it's a weird combo. Because you have Hiro, Koalanoob and Ruxic. Like,
I was excited for Koalanoob.
yeah, I'm excited. Well, I was really excited for Ruxic. I thought he was gonna really kill it, and I think he had like a solid performance. He wasn't so great on Astra, but like I think he's a solid smokes player. Hiro struggled a little bit, but like yeah, like we said, it's the most chaotic team. They have a lot of hope, but also like they could bomb out. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
yeah, I'd have them at top of C.
Yeah. I agree. I like this placement. All right. Team Heretics. Um, I think that this team is kind of losing the plot. Uh, I think I don't know what it is, that just confidence is not there. The consistency is still there against a lot of these EMEA teams, but I think when they're put in a high pressure situation, there there's something mental going on, because even though I know they can win, it's just not, it didn't look good at kickoff
I feel like maybe they got brain broken after,
after losing
not winning a
back to
trophy.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, because that honestly, we underestimate that, but like that might have happened to Paper Rex a while back.
Oh,
their
we'll talk
brain just
about
gets
that tomorrow.
their brains just get broken, and uh, that being said, though, they're still better than like most of the teams here. Like I still feel like unless they start bombing out again, like you couldn't really, outside of a couple teams, I still think they beat most people. So like I'd have them around the same level as like Foot, because like I think Foot's like Team Heretics could easily beat Foot, but also Foot's very consistent, and Heretics is kind of like starting to wane in consistency.
Yeah, I think they're interchangeable. I think Foot and Team Heretics are kind of in the same predicament of being like being a close top team, but not being able to take it over the line when it comes to,
Mm-hmm.
those S tier type of like games. So I have them top of A, but no higher. Okay, Andy, just tell me why they're S tier.
Yeah, they only lost to EDG and G2. Like,
Some of the
you
best
if anyone,
teams.
yeah, and then they beat Sentinels. Like, there's no bad teams in Bangkok. So just them getting there and then also showing some signs of like, hey, yeah, we're a good team. Like they didn't completely crumble ever. I felt like
Mhm.
they just kind of, the G2 is better than them. EG is defending world champions. I think, especially in a league where like Foot and Heretics are a little bit more like you don't know what they're going to do. I feel like Team Heretics, like or Team Vitality, is definitely, it has to be an S tier team right now. Like I don't see them not making the next two. Like they're not going to fall off because a lot of these players are already kind of proven.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Um, Here's my hot take, and it's that I think Team Liquid is probably the best EMEA team, and I think they're gonna win stage one.
Well, didn't when did they win? They won last year or 2 years ago. Oh yeah, in 2023 they won the league.
Yeah,
So they'd be two
two time.
league trophies.
Yeah. The reason I say it's just because my faith and vitality, it's not that it's waning. It's just like a gut feeling of like a lot of the super teams, even though they have talent, when you have like painful losses, you typically tend to like slow down and play, or like the egos start coming out. I don't know why, but for some reason that top 4 placement for vitality, based on like the pictures that I've seen, seem to have hurt them quite a bit. And I think a lot of like emotional damage carries over when you lose big games like that, especially to a lot wonkier super team. We've also seen that like some of the tactics that Vitality has are not as well, they're not as based as some of the ones that Team Liquid has. And I think like when it comes to like playing in a stage 1 type environment, it's going to be about who can be more consistent, who can get who has better tactics. And I think that's going to carry Liquid over the line over a team like Vitality, who has shakier tactics, has shakier teamwork, but they have really good shooters. I think really good shooters only takes you so far, and I think Liquid are going to improve throughout the season.
I personally still have them above Team Liquid just because I think they mostly lost and looked unimpressive against T1 because if in the first round they played like EDG instead or something like that and then played T1 for the first, they would have eliminated T1, I think. I think they're not a good rematch team right now because they are all aim, no head, like no brain. Like they're just, I think... I can definitely see Team Liquid being a better team, but I can't. Like Derke, Les, this team's just too good. That Sayf's IGLing leaves a lot to be desired, and
yeah, I wish I didn't have doubts about Vitality. Maybe this is just me like reverse jinxing them, but I'll respect the top top 4 placement, and I'll throw them in the S tier up top. But I do think that there's a lot more to be desired, especially when it comes to like the calling and the teamwork. A lot of rounds depended on Derke, and I don't like when teams depend solely on like one player.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any changes you thought that could be made here?
Yeah, I guess like the only things that were like really different on my personal one was I guess like I was having more faith in Foot.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like, yeah, that's pretty much my power rankings because this EMEA is just very...
very, very up and down.
Yeah.
And that was our tier list for VCT EMEA heading into stage 1. Join us tomorrow when we talk about VCT Pacific.